Romans 8:28. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose. Life is filled with good and bad. And this verse indicates that for believers, even the bad things that happen to us will bring about good. Now, this verse is not saying that all things are good. Of course, not everything that happens to us is good. Even as Christians, bad things happen to us. They include loss of work, loss of a loved one, destruction of property, accidents, and deliberate attacks. We all can rumble off bad things that have happened to us, particularly as we get older. They are often the hardest things in this life for us to get past. They are also often things we want to forget but cannot. However, they often test our faith. It is actually all things working together for good. What this verse actually promises is that good will come from even that which we see as bad. In other words, one way or another, God will bring about good from what happens to us. We may not even see it. However, God is there working out good, even when our problems are driving us crazy. However, this verse also indicates conditions for everything working together for good. The first is that we need to love God. The second is that we need to be called according to his purpose. That is, we need to be saved. Without these conditions, the guarantee of all things working together is not there. Here are three examples of things that would normally be considered bad working together for good. The first is my mother's death. Now, her passing working together for good goes beyond just the fact that she is with the Lord and reunited with my Father in heaven. It also includes the fact that the Lord has used me in many ways since her death. For example, I have been a whole lot more understanding when somebody loses a close loved one than I ever have been. This is particularly true because of the fact that I was the one that first discovered that my mother had died. And in fact, the time on the death certificate came from me looking at the clock. To this day, the memory of her passing and discovering that she had died bothers me from time to time. However, it has also given me the opportunity to help other people who are going through similar things, whether it's losing a close loved one or actually experiencing the death of a close loved one. Also, as long as she was here on earth, my main focus was looking after her in the wake of my father's homegoing. However, with her passing and that obligation behind me, The Lord has opened the door to service for Him that I had never even considered, and in fact, probably would have laughed at in the past. On January 20th, 2017, I lost the job that I had had for several years. As a result of losing that job, I got into full time ministry for nearly the next 2 years. I actually learned how to start a ministry. Furthermore, I still preach when given the opportunity. I had never thought of doing so before. In fact, I probably would have laughed at anyone who said I would be. I've been able to give out tracts and be a direct witness in at least 3 states. If I still had that job, little if any of this would have happened. Without question, the biggest example is the crucifixion and death of Jesus Christ Himself. There is no question that what was done to Jesus was bad. It was born out of jealousy and hatred. It was a huge miscarriage of justice. In fact, Jesus suffered more than any of us can really imagine. However, God has used this one event for the last 2,000 years to redeem many souls to salvation. Every one of us that will be in heaven will be there because of the death of Jesus. God definitely used this horrible event to bring about much good. We need to be living for the Lord. That is the way to ensure that whatever happens to us, God will bring about good from it. Even if one day we are persecuted to death, if we are living for God, He will use it for good. God does not promise that everything that happens to us will be good. However, He does promise to use it for good. There is a huge difference. This promise is conditional on us loving Him and following His purpose. That is, we need to follow God as He leads us. Therefore, trust God to bring about the good, even when it looks bad to us.